Thank you, Cher. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate the opportunity to participate in such an incredible event and process. You know, the statistics that you've presented and also were on the screen before that are very disconcerting in a marketplace that some people say boomtown, both our state and region. Last spring, I had the opportunity to sit and listen to the United Way's annual meeting and have Cher talk about how the focus is going to be breaking the cycle of poverty through education. That really inspired me. It also taught me something, that the United Way is just not a fundraising organization. It is an organization of action. And really at the Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation, in a lot of similar ways, we are out to do the same thing, but obviously have different processes. Our belief is that if we have a strong primary sector economy, paying a very strong living wage and benefit, it will reduce the need for public service and cost as it relates to social services. I want to say right now, right here, that we will be the one at the intersection of business and education. As I mentioned a minute ago, I used the word primary sector. It's an area that we focus on. Those businesses within our community that are really the economic foundation of our economic system and programming. We are very focused on working with them, so we make about 150 to 200 calls to them on an annual basis. We want to know what they're doing, how strong they are, what the process is. And I think that's incredibly important. It gives us an ability to understand process and issues long before they become real problems. The second area that we focus on is entrepreneurial development. It's critical in our community. This community was built on entrepreneurial growth. You don't have to look very far in this community to see the individuals or families that have created incredible opportunities in this marketplace from their entrepreneurial thoughts. We have to make sure that that culture is in place so we can continue that and grow new jobs in the future. And the last is workforce development. You know, of the calls that I mentioned earlier that we make to primary sector businesses, 90% of those calls have one single issue that they share with us. Lack of a quality, highly trained, highly educated workforce so they can move their process forward and grow their business. You know, that really is an incredible statement and process. And really, that's why we're here. That's why we're here supporting the United Way right here, right now. It's really amazing. If I look at MetroCog's 2012 population study that was released, it's saying that by the year between 2030 and 2040, our community will grow to 270 to 300,000 people. That's incredible. But what about our past? If we look between 1990 and 2010, our community grew population-wise by 43%. So now if I look at a continuum from 1990 to 2040, it's telling us that the population of our community is literally going to double from where it was in 1990. That's really an incredible number. And I think as we work through that process, it says to us, this is why the importance of collaboration and working with partnerships and working together from business to education to consumers to public organizations is absolutely critical. We have to have strategic plans and processes in place for us to be competitive, and really to make this investment, we have to do it now. What better time, as Cher said, about making that investment when times are good. As a result of that, if you look at the growth rates, what does that do for our jobs? According to that process, as a result of that population growth, we're going to see a 36-37% growth in jobs during this time frame, from approximately 134,000 to 182,000 jobs within the marketplace. That's really incredible. If we have to focus on that, and we look at it, and we combine that with the slight growth of the fertility and birth rate and the declining mortality rate in our community, what does that tell us? We're looking at net migration to make those numbers and for us to obtain that kind of growth. Net migration from outside of this region into our market. That will, as it has to a point, diversified and affected the cultural aspects of our community, and we have to be prepared for that as we move forward. Every month, the Department of Job Services, North Dakota, puts out a job opening report. In the most recent report, they showed that there were 21,911 open positions in the state of North Dakota, job openings in their system. Now, not every job is on that system, so think about that. But what's really interesting, in Cass County, there were 4,862. So there was 22% of the job openings in the state of North Dakota were here. Now, if we add that on top of Clay County, we have over 6,000 available positions within our marketplace, with a 3.1, 3.2% unemployment rate right now. For our companies to go and grow, we have to deal with those issues. Where do we go from here? You know, it's interesting. I think back to Thomas Friedman's book, The World is Flat. And one of the things he said is that we have to start using our 21st century skills now. We can't wait. It has to be right now, and we have to move forward together in a collaborative basis. We have to focus on project-based learning. We have to utilize the 4 C's from STEAM-based education and process. We have to move this process forward. But most importantly, we have to have education listening to business. What are their needs? And we have to have business listening to education and realizing that there will be a cost to provide the workforce that business needs moving into the future. It's critical. The EDC currently has 2 full-time employees that do nothing except workforce development, programming, and initiatives. This is critical. We have to work collaboratively and working together, and that's why we're so focused with United Way, to make workforce a primary sector issue. So let's talk about the 4 C's very quickly. Communication, talking, working together, making things happen. The EDC worked with MSUM and created a process called the MSUM Sector Breakfast, where it brought industry sector leaders together and the leadership of MSUM in a 90-minute breakfast process where they spoke. And President Edna walked in and she opened the conversation with, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And this is the most important one. Are our students meeting your expectations in the business community as your employees? There were answers that they probably didn't want to hear, but it was powerful. At the next meeting, they get a report card on what they did and how they worked. And there are 4 sectors, so every year they go through those on a quarterly basis. And what are some of the outcomes? The new Masters in Accounting program, an executive MBA program, a hiring director of a career development individual, and the creation of a campus-wide leadership program. These are action items that are being put in place for business and educators to move that process forward for workforce. The next is creativity. We have to be creative in the process that we do. So several years ago, in conjunction with NDSU and SEEK, we started the Teachers in Industry program for K through 12 teachers to experience a 4-week program at an engineering or technology company learning 21st century skills right here on the ground. That's incredibly powerful. And what happens? The teacher then has a responsibility that they have to take what they learned and put it into the classroom. These teachers talk about transformational, how this has changed their evaluation and process and how they look forward to how they teach. It's absolutely critical. They gain new ideas. The teachers get professional development, and yes, we even pay them $2,000 for the process between ourselves and the companies. This is creativity in the process as we move forward. The next thing is critical thinking. You know, we have to think outside the box. We have to move forward. And we did that in the fall of 2012. We did a life science summit. We brought all of the companies together in our community that were life science oriented and brought all of our higher education partners together in a room at Microsoft for a number of hours and sat down and talked about the issues. Had very frank and sometimes very difficult conversations about what the businesses were getting from industry and vice versa. The bottom line is that we came out of that with some actionable items to move that process forward. That's what we have to do. We have to move that process forward through a series of collaborative aspects and thinking. And probably the most important aspect is what we're talking about here today, is collaboration. You know, Cher said earlier that success will only come through collaboration, and we at the EDC absolutely believe that. You know, the EDC has reached out to the United Way as we've gone through the last year to help and work with us in our K-12 Superintendents Initiative. We've also worked and reached out to other organizations within the marketplace. We need everybody's resources. We need everybody's help. This isn't about who's doing what, where, how, and who's leading or who's following. It's about getting the job done. As we walk through, I guess that the bottom line is that I will be the one to encourage businesses to continue to collaborate with our local United Way and to invest in our community's children. In the end, they are our future. Thank you.